Hi, this is my friend's story. I call it Nam 1970. A while back, an old friend stopped by to see me. He said, I have prostate cancer and I'm heading to Montana to search for my heart and soul that I left in Vietnam. I want you to tell my story. With that, he was off. I assured him that I would, and so here goes. In January 1970, I left Louisiana, flew to San Francisco, and then to Vietnam. I stepped off the plane to 110-degree heat. I saw rows and rows of GIs standing under wall-less tin-roofed shelters waiting for their turn, about to occupy the seat I flew in on. No one was cheering, no one was crying, except maybe inside. No one showed any emotion, just stoic disbelief that within moments they would finally be embarking on Big Bird, bringing them back to their homeland, having left part of their heart and soul in a small country named Vietnam. As I looked out and saw these guys, I told myself, I will be standing right here a year from now, and I'm going to do all I got to do to make it back. Incident 1. A few weeks after being in country, we went out on my first mission, with me driving a Sheridan tank rather than my '67 Mustang I left back home with my bride of 1 year. A few days after being in the field, we got word that we were getting a new company commander and that he would be flying out to meet us and spend a day or two with us. So our armored vehicles were in a semicircle around the rice field, waiting for the chopper to land. We threw out green smoke. The chopper landed, and out walked our new company commander. Tall, thin, almost regal. As the chopper flew off, he started walking towards us, and about 100 feet from where the chopper landed on the rice levee, our new company commander stepped on a landmine. And that was his first day in the field and his last day in the field. His father, a 4-star general, lost his warrior son that day. As we were picking up the pieces, I found the 6-shooter revolver, which this guy wore instead of the typical .45. Incident 2. We were taking a break from riding around the Vietnamese countryside near Chu Lai to draw fire from the enemy so we could engage them, then draw back and call in air support and watch the fireworks from a safe distance. We drove towards the South China Sea, and just beyond the beach, we parked the tanks and we were allowed to go swimming. The undercurrents were awful, but everybody made it back to shore after a much-needed bath. Once I was back on shore, I was walking about 50 feet behind the captain's driver, and as I reached the point that I would take a right towards my tank, the captain's driver was approaching his vehicle, and boom. Half his body went one way, the other half the other way. 20 feet in the air. I threw my hands up, trying to prevent shrapnel from entering any vital space in my body, and in total shock started looking for the footsteps that led to my tank. I left the medic to deal with the mangled and lifeless body of my fellow man and friend. That video plays itself in my brain every single night as a nightmare I can never turn off. Incident 3. At night, we would look for high ground and park the tanks in a circle till morning, with each tank member taking his turn at security. To my surprise, when we came to the parking place, the tank commander says to me, "We're all going to get off the tank, and I'm going to stand over here and direct you to the parking spot." I thought it was strange, but no problem. I did it, and we parked the tank. Just a few minutes after I was parked, I heard a huge explosion, and it turned out to be an armored personnel carrier from a different platoon about a half-mile away that had backed up to a 500-pound bomb. We did go and try to collect the pieces, and that's all there were left. Very small pieces. Incident 4. After a firefight, the tank commander told me and the gunner to go and pick up a body from the ravine. As I approached the body, I realized that she was still alive. She looked maybe 15. She was someone's daughter. She was someone's sister. She was probably someone's girlfriend. She was someone's granddaughter, and lying in a ravine with a bullet wound just above the heart. At each breath, a little squirt of blood would come out of her wound. So I got in the ravine and picked her up by the legs, and the gunner picked her up by her shoulders. She was wearing black pajamas, and as I stepped forward, I almost tripped and fell on her AK-47 and ammo pouch, which she was able to discard even after being wounded, so she would look like a non-combatant. Instead of carrying a backpack filled with books and studying at school, she was carrying an AK-47 and an ammo pouch, probably part of a 3-man or woman RPG team that would hit and run, defining the term guerrilla warfare. We carried her out, put her on a chopper. To this day, I still don't know whether this teenager made it or not. I pray every day that she did. I feel so guilty about the possibility that one of the bullets I fired might have ended her ever so precious life. Never a night goes by that I don't see her face and the blood-red tint on her black pajamas. Incident 5. We came across a female and 4 kids in the middle of nowhere near an underground storage area, and the woman was being interrogated by an ARVN soldier holding a stick in his hand, and every now and then I thought surely he was going to strike the woman. He was asking, "Where is your husband? Where is your no-good traitor of a husband?" He never hit her, thank God. We were able to fly them out to a relocation area, and hopefully they were reunited at a later date. Incident 6. We approached and crossed a ravine one day, and as we got to the other side, there was a garden, and the family of about 15 people, all sobbing and waving their hands in complaint of us running through their garden, their only means of life support, 20 miles from the nearest ville. In the countryside, multi-generations of the family lived together, and we were depriving them of their sustenance for the near future and beyond. Incident 7. After being in the field for about 6 months, I received word that I had a phone call from the Sarge in charge of the rear area for our troop. I went over to the captain's vehicle and took the call. Sarge said, "I see here that you have a degree. Is that correct?" I said, "Yes." "Can you type?" Without hesitating, I lied and said yes. He said, "Great. I'm going to send the truck for you. Get on back here. You're our new troop clerk." With that decision, my chance of making it back home were greatly improved. Incident 10. After being troop clerk for about 30 or 40 days, I was taking the evening body count and mission report, and the GI at the other end of the phone says, Tank 39 was hit today, and all on board are KIA. Tank 39 was my old tank. So why was I chosen to be sent out of harm's way? And the guy that replaced me and my old teammates were all sent to heaven prematurely. I think they call it survivor's guilt. That is what I would say that I suffer from, along with PTSD, and there is no cure. 2 months later, I flew to Hawaii to meet my wife for R&R. No further comment on that. Just 5 days from Christmas, it was my turn to get on that big bird that brought me back to Louisiana, to my dear wife and family and friends. When I got back to Louisiana, I attended grad school, and my old psych professor told me, a little story. In my senior year at UL, the year before I was drafted, I and a team of 3 other psych majors trained monkeys that were in a cage with a hole in the middle, one side with green light, the other side red light, and we taught them to go back and forth from red side to green side, and they learned quite well. Doc LeBlanc told me we trained the monkeys, and they were later exposed to Agent Orange, and they recorded how the exposure affected their mobility and lifespan. Final thought. Could it be that my prostate cancer is a result of being exposed to Agent Orange plus karma for the things I did in Vietnam in 1970?